Morning, folks. Welcome to The Joey Show. I'm Joey Avery. We have, as usual, a very special episode for you today. If you're just listening, you can probably hear it in my cadence. If you're watching, you can see it in my outfit. Okay, I have a lovely, crisp, I would say new, but it's a vintage 49ers hat on. I also have a shirt and tie. Why would we be wearing both of those things? Maybe because week one of the NFL season has come and gone, and so has the first debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, and we are going to cover both things to completion here at The Joey Show. I know people come through these late. Let me tell you, it's not going to be an insanely topical podcast if you come here late, because we are going to extract the reality out of both of these things. What does it really mean? The debates are fascinating. I don't want to get sidetracked right now. We'll get into it. Other things that we have on the docket. Melania speaking up about the assassination. That's back. We also have a story about Georgia. Georgia. No, not Georgia. I know you're thinking, are we talking football even more? That might be too much football. No, we're not talking about the Georgia Bulldogs. We're not talking about that team that plays ball in between the hedges. We are talking about a real rivalry, a deep rivalry, a historic rivalry, and that is the tiny Eastern European country that is perpetually about to get donkey fucked by Russia, but let's hope not. We are going to bring light to the Georgian plight. We are going to become, as far as undercard comedian podcasts with a small listenership goes, we are going to be at the forefront of Georgia coverage here. Throw it in the Boeing pile. Georgia and Boeing. That's where when you want to learn things about Georgia and Boeing, you come to Joey Avery. You come to that comedian with the questionable mullet. We call it a flow hawk. We've discussed this on stage. We don't have to get into it. Okay? A lot of people trying to have this hairstyle. You can't have it. It's mine. So, where do we go today? I do want to start off by giving a shout out to the few, the proud, the 12. Because we discussed this last week. The 12 is we are SEAL Team 12. We are the most dedicated group of small batch listeners in the podcast community. You know who you are. You are 12 good men and women and whatever. Maybe even dogs that apparently immigrants eat, according to Trump. We are the Strong 12, but we might have an exciting new member. This was not on my bingo card for the weekend, but I got a like. I got a like on a video from a man named Hunter Biden. That's right, on Instagram, at hunter.biden, liked a Joey Show podcast video. Is he one of the 12? Does that make the 12 even more really? Yeah, it kind of does. Why? Because we're powerful, because we're close to power, because we're invited to the White House, but sometimes we smoke crack and like to get our dicks wet. That's just how the 12 ride. That's how they ride. So, Hunter, welcome. I don't know if you've listened to full eps yet, but you might as well, because we're getting a little political today. We will cover the debate. We will cover what a ridiculous spectacle that is in American life, but I really just want to welcome Hunter to the 12. Let's spark up a lovely episode for our new friend Hunter. I did check the Instagram. It really appears to be Hunter's gram. I'm talking 196K on there, getting tagged. I mean, look, it's hard to say. He's not an active user. One photo. I think the kids, a tasteful post today about 9/11. That's what I expect out of you, Hunter. You're a good man. Welcome to the 12. Welcome to the Joey Show. Hunter Biden, everybody. Thank you for listening. But today, we do have to stay in the political realm because I guess when you're hearing this Thursday, last night was debate night. And boy, is that a spectacle. I could not help myself but just be incredibly curious about how much it's a sporting event. It is basically the UFC. It is two brain-dead people going head-to-head. I realize Kamala didn't look like it last night, but just come on. Think about the when was the last time you were excited about a politician? Obama? Say Obama, because come on. But It's just fascinating the way that it is discussed, the pageantry that goes into it, the lead up. I was excited. I was talking to my wife. I was like, hey, debate's on tonight. Should we have a bottle of wine and watch the debate? It's the whitest sentence I've ever said. And I sure said it. And I say a lot of white sentences. But that one was up there. We had a bottle of wine. We watched the debate. I treated it like a sporting event. I was like, how good is this week? Monday Night Football, Niners are on. A win for the boys. Monday Night Football, the Niners are on. We catch a dub. Tuesday night, what's there to watch? Oh, yeah. UFC Fight Night. Man versus woman. Trump versus a minority. Yeah, I'm watching that. I'm watching that every day of the damn week. If they had another one tonight, I'd watch it. Does it make me feel good? No, it's horrible. Is it hilarious? Best comedy special I've seen in years. Years. All right, and there have been some good comedy specials. There have been some good comedy specials. There have been too many comedy specials, but there's been some very good ones. And eventually, I will release one too. In fact, teaser, right here on the very YouTube channel you're watching, I will be releasing a 20-minute set. It's basically an all-crowd work set from the drunkest crowd I've experienced in my entire life. It is insane. Subscribe. It's going to be very fun. Back to the debate. I'm watching the pregame debate coverage, and I am fascinated. I was going to say bricked, but I don't think that's the right word because I was fascinated. I mean, we are talking about two human beings vying for the most powerful job on the planet. And I flip on CNN only to see one of the commentators be like, I wonder if she's going to shake his hand. And then start describing like a Michael Dukakis story about how the height difference really changed people's minds. We're talking about two people who have policies that directly relate to whether people in other countries and our own country live or die. And we're like, he is taller than her. Who's going to do the handshake? And I was watching the coverage thinking, this is insane. It backs up what I said on this program last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. I can never remember what I say. If I repeat myself, tell me, I'm sorry. But I was talking about how the fandom that we see at the DNC and the RNC is ridiculous. Like, it's preposterous to engage in that level of fandom over something like this, and how it's better if you really want to pay attention to politics to come up with your concepts surrounding the policies that actually matter, seeing through all the pomp and circumstance instead of getting caught up in the very, tribal, obvious ways that we all become fans of things. Look, I'm wearing a Niners hat. I mean, this is just, and I mean, you want to talk about fandom, your political views are so highly related to where you grew up. It's basically like a football team. These are all true things. So that would be a smart way to do it. But then I'm watching people break this down like it's a fight, focusing on nothing that matters when we're talking about, in theory, important things. And then I watched the debate and I was like, they were right to do that. Because some of the most interesting shit was like, oh, she went in for that handshake. She went in for that handshake. She went all the way over to his side. And we know Trump, he doesn't like seeing a mixed race person come over his border like that. He did not like that at all. She went in, I think she said, hi, I'm Kamala. And he was like, fucking what, bitch? He didn't say that. He meant it. He felt it. My boy was on the back foot all night. I would say Trump had a very bad night. Now, depending on what media circles you traffic in, some people are not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say he got cooked. Okay? She cooked him like a jerk chicken, that Jamaican gal. Look, she had him, dude. She really did. And I know that some people will say, well, if you're, this is an objective analysis, folks, here on this show. This is not me saying time to go donate to the campaign, whatever. I'm telling you, as a fan of the game, whether you agree with her or not, if we are following this like the sporting event that it very clearly is, she cooked that motherfucker. She roasted him. It was true. It was interesting. She She would just throw stuff out there like, go chase this ball. And he'd be like, done. I am in. And I love the thing that I love about Trump is he's, running for president of the United States. And they very frequently, what everyone talks about with him is they're like, he doesn't like to prepare for debates. He doesn't think he needs to. She prepared. She walked out, opening statement. Here's what's going to happen. Everything happened the way she said on the opening statement. She basically telegraphed what she was going to do. He couldn't help himself. I mean, there were some great moments. Well, let's do it. We'll roll a couple clips. You're going to have heard these clips. We're not going to spend a lot of time on them. I know I'm not your main news program, okay? So we're not going to just go over everything. But I can't, in good conscience, run a program that covers the debate and not include this beautiful moment.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people. I'm not even doing an impression. He's so fucking entertaining. I think to me, I realize that, yeah, okay, sure. Let's cover our bases here. Is it entertaining when he does things that harm the country, which he's capable of doing? No. Don't tell me he's not fun. People have tried to play that game. Those debates it's never going to be that interesting ever again. At some point, let's have a hopeful thought. At some point in this country, we will have two people who want to engage in a spirited debate on the topics. Has that ship sailed? Very possibly. Could we end up with, Jake Paul versus Tana Mojo? Could that be a debate stage? Sure. Do all of you even know who that is? Probably not. But I think some sloppy, messy bitches could certainly end up running the country. One of them already has. And I'm talking about Kennedy, my boy. Boy, he like to fuck. That's not what I'm talking about. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people who live there. If you don't know what he's referencing, congratulations. You read books or something. But there's a video of a woman. She is a native-born U.S. She is not the same color as Donald Trump. And I think she was on drugs, and I do think, ate a cat. Not an immigrant. Kind of hard to blame it on them. But it's entertaining. Again, not if you're hurt by the scenario. Totally fair. But we all watched that. And if you didn't, congratulations. Congratulations. Seriously. We all watched that, and I could not help but think there is nobody on planet Earth who is more entertaining than people with a light tinge of mental illness. And that is a compliment. That is Mental Health Awareness Month. Get the help that you need. I will watch Kanye. I will watch Trump. I mean, he's not done the homework. He says some wild things, and she did do a good job in the debate. Now, I think a fair comment that, some people, a lot of people on the right are upset with the moderating. And I think you could go, there's a couple arguments here. Number one, some people would say, you look at it, they fact-checked him more than her. And people would say she lied as well. Not quite as egregiously as some of the lies that he was telling. That's what you would say there. I think the main thing is if you're complaining about the rules of the game, and I do this a lot, but I only do it when I'm losing. That is a key. If you are complaining about the rules of a game, it means you're probably getting cooked a little bit. And that's fine. I watched him. He went into the spin room after. Interesting move. He went on Handy. He said he thinks it's the best debate he's ever had. And then said, but it was a 3-on-1. And that's going to be the argument. As people say that it wasn't fair, it wasn't fairly moderated. I do think there's some argument to say that if you're going to push things as far as he does, sometimes it's hard to be directly in the center. if you're going to claim that a full election was stolen, if you're going to claim that immigrants are eating dogs and cats, it might. Is it fair? Is it fair to say that that's okay to fact check sometimes? Is it? And I know some people will watch this and say, I'm in the bag for Kamala. I'm not. I am just a concerned citizen and fan of the game who watched UFC Fight Night and enjoyed some wild things. Here we have this. I thought was interesting too.
She was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute. I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
He liked that one. Hey, that's a good bring back. But she looked like she was having more fun.
She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now,
this actually wasn't the part of the clip that I meant to play, but let's be fair here. She's shaking her head. She's saying that not true. She did donate to a bail fund for the people who were rioting after George Floyd's arrest. You can have an opinion about that. She's saying it's not true. She did. This is where it gets interesting.
She wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison.
That's a bar. I don't care what you say. That was a Shakespearean level of prose. Transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. That is wild. That is a wild take. And so I think, honestly, if you're looking at this debate, the real question is who might have convinced a swing voter in a swing state. It's funny because the rest of us, however millions of people watch that, whoever's on the CNN panel, the MSNBC panel, the Fox News panel, most of us are just watching for the spectacle so that we can have something to say. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun that a debate feels like a sporting event. But everything has just become insane entertainment. As a sports fan, I can recognize it. I see exactly what it is. Pre-game show, same set, too many people on a panel, beautiful desk, crispy colored backdrop. I got to get one of them motherfuckers here. Maybe we should turn this into a Sports Center style show. I think that set only cost several $1 million. Beautiful set, political news, and the pregame before. What are they going to do? What to look out for? What are their strategies? Then the debate, and then a return, a bunch of people. How did they do it? Did they execute on their strategy? Did it have again, no one's talking about the realities of the policy and whether or not they're correct, because then all of a sudden, if you do that, you're biased, which is funny, that trying to get to the truth about these complex issues is just, it's all about the strategy of who can convince a person who arguably even knows less about it the best. So we're playing this large game about supposedly important things, but it's literally all about which idiot can trick the most other idiots by lying. And we all know that that's the game. And I don't even know how you would change it, because at the end of the day, we live in a world where things are strategy-based. And so now we're all just living in this kind of goofy little game, and 99% of the people watching it actually don't have a say. Not to be fucking cynical or whatever, but I enjoyed it because Trump made it fun. He did. He made it fun because he's unpredictable. There are very few times where I can sit on that couch with someone else in my life and put something on and laugh out loud. Because, and I know this is a comedian who has not made one joke on this episode, comedy is the element of surprise a lot of times, a little rug pull here and there. You watch a special, you watch enough comedy, at some point you're like, I bet I knew where he was going with that. Some jokes that I'll even see my friends write, I'll play a game where I'll watch the joke and I go, I know what the punchline's going to be. Yep, there it is. Oh, good, he got there. But that's not surprising. Trump is fucking surprising. I was not expecting they're eating the dogs. I was not expecting she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens who are in prison. I was not. I mean, it just all of it was fucking absurd. None of it was that encouraging or inspiring, in my opinion. But as someone who watched it and analyzed it, she cooked him. But will that matter? Does it matter to you? Will it matter in the debate? Who knows? Who knows? She got that Taylor Swift though. She got that T Sweezy endorsement, the coveted Taylor Swift endorsement, which is already like 99% people who would vote for her, but still, the T Swift endorsement. I think, as I was watching it, she waited for after that debate. She wanted to see how it was going. Same way she waited till Travis Kelce won his rings. She's a front runner. So if I would say she's maybe she I thought her note was relatively nice. She said, hey, I've studied the positions. I know what means most to me, and that's what you should do, but just letting you know this is what I'm going to do. And there you go. I think she's a front runner. Okay, Travis Kelce won all those rings with the Chiefs. Then she goes to him. Why not make a play for my dog, George Kittle? I know he's married. Because we haven't won yet. Elon Musk had an interesting reply to that. Let's give that a pull up. I thought Elon has had an interesting little run here. Elon's reply to Taylor Swift was on X. Fine, Taylor, ... You win, ... I will give you a child and guard your cats with my life. I could be misconstruing this, but knowing how frequently he gives people children, that felt like a real advance. That felt like a real sexual threat, which could mean, maybe not threat, but that might mean Taylor's back. Let that settle in for a minute. I think you're going to be a little confused by where I'm going with this. Yeah, element of surprise. You don't know where I'm going with that. Taylor Swift, for the longest time, was always the conservative guy wet dream. It was like the hard right conservative guy. I was like, I just want to get me a girl like Taylor, you know? I want to play that guitar. She can strum on my scrotum if she has to. That was the conservative guy thing, was to be like, yeah, I like Taylor. That's the gayest thing about me, but really it's not, because she's a Southern Christian country gal and I fucking love her. And if she's back and Elon's taking swings at her because he is like Captain Online Conservative, I feel like she's back. She's kind of back to where she came from, full circle, possibly. She did something that's the opposite of what most rappers are doing right now. White rappers, primarily, Post Malone, my good friend, Young Gravy as well. They pop through rap, and then it's like, boom, let's hit it, let's go country. Taylor went the other way. Taylor went country, and then to pop. So she went. That's a more. She did kind of the white artist Lazy River backwards. But I respect it. I respect it nonetheless. Nothing but love and respect to everyone involved in this race. And I hope you enjoyed the debate. I really, and I mentioned this, I enjoy the coverage. I don't know what it is about people talking about things that I've already seen, that it might be my favorite form of media. And I realize that we've now entered into sort of a right now. I would say we're in like a content vortex, a self-aware content vortex. Is that the new name of the pod? We're in a self-aware content vortex where I am talking about something that I'm currently doing that you, one of the 12, blessedly, and Hunter Biden are now a part of, where we have watched something. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But if you watched the debate and you wanted to hear a person's take on the debate, so now you can see if what you saw still makes sense now that you're hearing what someone else saw, That's where we've reached as a society. It is the Bo Burnham clip of commentary on commentary on commentary, but he's making it sound like a bad thing. I find it interesting because I'm watching this and I'm going, am I taking fucking crazy pills? Like, what's happening right now? So then after it, I got to watch CNN, I watch MSNBC, I watch Fox. I see Trump in the spin room, we go Fox. Then I go online, I watch some podcasts. I listen to different podcasters talk about it. I want to know where everyone's at. I want to know, I go to comment threads. I see a conservative guy post something, I go to the comment thread, I see all the comments, Trump won, he cooked her. Not a take that I think the average person agrees with, but if you're in that world and this is how politics works, you have to see it that way. All you're going to say is this is unfair, fuck the moderators, he did great. He hops on Handy, he says that's the best debate I've ever done. One of the best debates that I've ever done. People are saying we get very good numbers out of this. People saying 85% to 3%. People don't like Kamala. They don't like her. He said something unreal. He literally said, and it's just... what he said was actually very lovely. He mentioned that he was going to New York. He was going to be there for the memorial of 9/11. Good. But the way he said it was unbelievable. I don't know if I can find this clip. If I can, I'll plug it in here, but it might be hard to find. He's talking to Handy, and he just said, I'll be going to New York, 9/11 memorial for all the people who died. I was like... You're not supposed to put stank on that. You're not supposed to put stank on it. You got to hit that one straight, dog. You got to... Didn't want to say land the plane, but you got to hit that one straight. Just wild behavior. I was interested to see where things are going because I covered the assassination here at length on this show, and we talked about how kind of weird it was that it felt like it went away and it got contentized, and it felt like we love him or hate him. I was trying to connect with the human element of what had happened to Donald Trump, and so now that they're flailing a little bit, I'm seeing the assassination is coming back. Not only Donald Trump starting to blame Kamala for it, but we have a video tweet from the very distant, the wickedly talented Melania Trump. Where's she been? Hey, it's her life. She doesn't have to do this. But she put out a statement after he was shot, and now she's put out a video. Let's watch the video.
The attempt to end my husband's life was a horrible, distressing experience.
Fair.
Now, the silence around it feels heavy. I can't help but wonder, why didn't law enforcement officials arrest the shooter before the speech? There is definitely more to this story, and we need to uncover the truth.
I'm going to pause it right there, okay? I'm going to pause it right there. This is interesting. This is a large development. She has been silent on it. He said he was done talking about it. There's a lot of people who have conspiracies about it. It's been undercovered. Where are we going? Why is now the time? Any guesses? She's got a book! She sent that tweet out with the text of the tweet, MelaniaTrump.com, and she's dropping a book, white cover, the best color, and it just says Melania in black, and it is a book promo. So now, look. Life is content. I think a lot of us have resisted that for some time. We have resisted the concept that life has simply become one long treadmill of sweet, hot content for the folks that simply must be monetized. Whether you've got a hot bod and, you want to get just fucking plowed on OF and make some money off that, okay, then you got to contentize and you got to get your promo clips, you got to get your fucking link tree, you got to get your link in bio. And if your husband, who you love, gets shot in the head, you better put pen to paper, girly. You better start tickling them ivory keys, you little bitch. You better do it. Because if you don't have that fucking book ready, how will we ever get to the bottom of this important piece of national security? Now, I assume she has talked to all the appropriate agencies or has her own angle on this. But it better be in that book. Who's buying the Melania Trump book? It's a question. I don't see a lot of crossover in the audiences. There's a Trump audience, then there's a kind of a Melania audience. She's not like really part of the Trump orbit. And then there's people who would buy that book. Can't be massive, but yes, queen, is all that I have to say. I'm breaking my silence to discuss the assassination attempt on my husband, and the text of the tweet is myname.com. It's a move. It's a move, and it's a move that we support, because if you are not monetizing it, this is a moment. This is a huge moment, and she knows what the fuck she's doing. Okay? She knows what the fuck she's doing. And she might have been like, fuck, the polls turned. I got to get this book out now. Okay? I got to get this book out now. How long does it take to write a book? In your second language? She might have been writing that day. Was she involved? I'm just asking questions. That's all that I do. I'm not here to speculate. I'm just speculating. That's what we've done from the beginning of our Boeing reporting. It's what we're going to do now. If she gets to have fun, I didn't think we should have fun with Trump's assassination. I did not believe that was a fun thing. I thought, love it or hate it, this is a former American president who got clipped on the ear, and we are not supposed to have fun with this. But if she's getting in the sandbox, Daddy wants a shovel. That's all. Just trying to make a couple castles. Just trying to make a couple castles out here. I don't know. Not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. Just trying to make a couple castles out here. I think it's fair. So now we are going to have fun with it too. She is my first suspect only because of the book. I'm not going to do that she's trapped in a loveless marriage thing that everyone else does. I believe that every night when he gets home from the campaign trail, he strips down and he bequeaths that beautiful, beautiful rotund belly of his that he has gotten through being a man, an American man, a man who likes his fast food. He built that thing without even drinking. That's impressive. I think he lays down that fucking wood. Here's a question. We can do it now. This is not even sexist. Who's fucking more? Doug and Kamala or Melania and Donald? I think most people would say that the winner of that is probably winning 1-0 on the year. I don't know if people who are that powerful can get that hard. We've discussed this before. Bill Clinton got his dick sucked thousands of times. He only came one time. He was just on the phone ringing up bodies, ringing up big body. No, he actually wasn't. He was ringing up donors, and he was getting knob polished under the table by one of his interns. That intern was a streamer by the name of Sketch. I'm just kidding. He was getting his knob polished by Monica Lewinsky. I'm sure I've said this. It bears repeating again. He only came once. Huh? I know they say a state's turning blue for the Democrats. Is that for blue balls? Because what is he doing? At some point, you've got to ask. I mean, I know that like the whole being dragged through the American media and being called a whore and all this was like very difficult for her because it wasn't really her fault. Like if the president says, suck my dick, and you're a young 20-year-old girl, you go, oh, it's probably the best offer I got this week. You think a 20-year-old guy's offering that level of dong? No, a 20-year-old guy is fucking hammered drunk off Rolling Rocks, screaming about the score of the Ole Miss game. The leader of the free world says, hey, come suck my dick. You say, yeah, thanks. Not her fault. Free Monica. But she had to go through, like, this is what would send me to a therapist. I'd be like, he never came. I was using my whole throat, much like I read about in the Nancy Reagan memoirs. I was using my whole throat and nothing but the throat. And he wouldn't even come. He wouldn't even come. I feel bad for her. The one time he did, of course, on that blue dress, ended up being a bit of a famous dress. Bit of a famous dress there. Speaking of sucking cock, Hawk Tuah girl. Sorry. I know we're done with her. I know. I am too. But we do have to discuss one thing because Hawk Tuah girl, if we're gonna do, you know, ripping loads off glizzies and spitting on that thing, we're gonna have to talk about the fact that she is releasing a podcast, and boy, is this a trailer that feels like the end of democracy.
She's literally doing anything to stay relevant.
Does anyone actually give a fuck about her?
Why are we keeping this girl relevant?
Your 15 minutes are up.
Your joke
American
was funny
flag.
for 2 days. Stop.
Y'all really thought I was done? I'm just getting started, baby. It smells warm. F you.
Yeah!
What's one move in bed that makes a girl go crazy?
Oh, Jake.
I'm Haley Welch. A little while ago, my life took a complete left turn and it changed forever.
Oh.
And along the way, I've realized that everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Well, now it's my time to talk. Check out my podcast every week, Talk to 'em, where I'm sitting down with the coolest guests and having actual conversations.
Pause. Look. I've had trouble with the idea of marketing an incredibly generic podcast in a sea of saturated podcasts, and I understand, girly. I understand the plight. I understand the difficulty. But we're going to have to just fucking replay this line, and I'm going to try. I'm going to try to be fair about this. But it makes me want to commit grievous acts of terror. All right, just upon our modern society. Okay.
Where I'm sitting down with the coolest guests and having actual conversations with them. And Pookie.
I'm sitting down with the coolest guests and having actual conversations with them. Let's be fair, okay? This podcast is nothing if not a screeching attempt to be as fair as possible to things that are objectively bad. All right? Maybe she invented the concept of a podcast. It's possible that she did. Sitting down with the coolest as an adjective guests. I know that other people were involved with this. I can tell because they bought whatever fucking bouncy EDM song is used in like the breakout commercials for every shitty reality show of all time. Let's listen to it. Hold up. I can't. Okay. You know what? We're going to leave her alone. She is. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. I respect it. She's got her moment. And a certain number of people. Like, the thing is, she got so famous that even when everyone goes away from giving a fuck, there's just a latent number of people that, knowing the numbers that it takes in this game, which we are far from here at the podcast with the Loyal 12, she'll be fine and she can make money off this, and good for her. And she's going to get good guests because she's teaming up with President Jake Paul. Maybe that's the ticket. Jake Paul and Haley Welch. Oh my God. I had a fucking conversation. I'm not going to say with who. A guy was like, yeah, we have a lot of good people on the roster over here we could get you involved with. We represent Haley Welch. What do you think I'm interested in, dog? I'm happy for everyone. But I'll be goddamned if I don't have an art form. There are not a lot of comedians in this world who post clips of them asking people what they do for work. Are there? I'm one of one, dog. I'm one of one. Okay. I know the crowd works a lot, but I have a lot of clips, and I'm going to post them all, and then eventually I'll drop a special. It's an old playbook, and we're fucking doing it. That's not what we need to talk about anymore. I couldn't believe that clip existed and that podcast is going to be real. I mean, who is that for? Maybe it's for young kids, right? That has to be it. I feel like that's like there is a 13-year-old boy who saw that Hawk Tuah and fell in love with her because she has a cute accent. Gotta be honest, it's wearing on me. But in that clip, that quick clip, cute accent, boom, cute girl, boom, talking about a sex act that at that age, you're 13, you're like, she does fucking what? She spits on that thing? And that got seen. So maybe there's a young generation that will see her and just go, yeah, I'm in love with her, and then maybe it's for children. And when I watch that clip, and there's Jake Paul, and there's Logan Paul, and there's a Sea-Doo for some fucking reason, and stupid music, and she says coolest guess, and if I'm 13, I might be going, you got cool guests over there? Damn, that's cool. I would love to listen to a cool guest have an actual conversation. Well, guess what we have here? I have shitty guests having fake conversations. That's what we do on the Joey Show. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Get your money. I'm not mad at it. It's just maddening. Is that okay? This actually reminds me of some Australia. I got to pull this up real quick. Australia is planning a social media minimum age limit angering youth digital advocates. So somewhere between 14 and 16, they're going to say is your minimum to be on social media. Let's do both sides of it here. The advocates for it, Prime Minister or something, we don't have to get in the fucking weeds here, was like, oi, is that a good Australian? He said, oi, I want these young cunts to be out on the pitch. That's what, and he said that, so I can say that. He said, if I see another 12-year-old twat, oi, all right, blimey. If I see another 12-year-old twat out there not playing ball with her friends, being a cunt on social media, I'm going to flip my lid. And then he hit a shoey. That's the quote from the Prime Minister. The other side, if we're being fair, is saying that what it is likely to do is basically drive kids at that age who have an appetite to be online, because where things are, into shadowy, more underground things, which could be dangerous for those kids. To me, that sounds like 5th grade. So I'm like, they'll be fine. Give them AIM and tell them to calm the fuck down. ASL, age, sex, location. Where y'all at? Can you imagine people were asking us that when I was fucking 10? First blowjob I gave. Not funny. Not funny at all. The point is, maybe that should be the name of the podcast. The point is, in an attempt to be fair, fuck you. I find it interesting because the argument that it could open up like black markets for social media activity is bad, but the good side of that is like, as long as you can keep your kids safe, don't have them on Instagram. Don't have them on Facebook. Do you know how many regrettable things that is going to save them from having to look back on? My digital footprint is out there. I got Time Hop coming up every day saying, here's what you said 18 years ago. And I go, fucking what? Burn that. Burn it. I remember me and the longtime fans and listeners will know the Pier 69 podcast. Me and the boys went through. We did a little find search. We searched for some words. You got to scrub some words. A lot of times when you're 12, you speak it in inappropriate ways. And if this is going to save kids from having a digital footprint, yeah. And if it'll get those righteous twats out on the pitch, I'm for it. I think we should be limiting where kids go. And they're saying, it's going to open up black markets. How are they going to know about that? Limit those. Limit all of them. Don't let them on. Stop it. It's bad to be online. It is. It's driving everyone insane. It's okay, at least when you're an adult, you want to stay up to date on things, but at some point in your day, you look at your phone and you feel like you've eaten your 12th piece of German chocolate cake. And the first one maybe tasted good. Maybe you had some milk with that. Maybe it was good. But by the 12th one, you want to fucking throw up and you hate yourself. And that's what we're all doing, and I don't need 12-year-olds doing that. Get on AIM with your friends like we used to. Make a profile. I saw my sub profile one time looking back at AIM. It just had a list of people I liked and didn't like. What is that? That is Joker levels of social behavior. And the list of people that I didn't like was mostly hot girls who were mean to me once. And I was just like, let's take it out on them. And maybe that's how you live your whole life. Maybe that's living with you at a microcosm, and it's just everyone's subtweeting everyone who pissed them off at some point in their life, and maybe that's okay. But you don't need to be posting it online in a place where people can find it. I'm glad that we had MySpace. That is dead. I'm glad that we had AIM. That is dead. I'm glad that shit's not online. And if it is, good luck finding it. Send it to me. I'll get a kick. But I don't need it out there. I don't need a fan of mine to find something that I said when I was 14. Brooke Schofield, anyone? People be like, oh, was it bad? Yeah. If you're 13, who cares? Get off the internet. Go kick a ball, all right? Throw rocks at each other. I don't care what you kids do. Grab a stick and hit each other with it. Learn real physical pain. Find someone you want to bully, and don't go online and tell them they're fat and they should kill themselves. Take their face and mash it into the mud like a good goddamn American. At least they're earthing now. Now they're connected to the soil, and they might go, hey, that felt pretty good actually. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. I feel more connected now. Supposedly earthing's good for you or something. I don't know, but at least it was real. I can't believe that these kids get home from school and they're still getting fucking bullied. That's crazy. Speaking of bullies, here's our foreign policy story of the day. And we'll get to football here at the end, but I mean, we're having fun, guys. Well, you don't want this to end. I don't want this to end. I'll sit here in a suit and tie for 12 more hours. I promise I won't. Also, sorry to anyone who downloaded the episode last week when, unfortunately, for some reason, only the first 25 minutes posted for a little bit. We got the whole thing up. Thank God. I was on my way to a wedding. I'll tell stories from that here in a little bit. But first, check me out live on the road. JoeyAvery.com/live. This weekend, Madison, Detroit, Minnesota with Noel Miller. Those are not on my website because they are not my tickets to sell. The next week, I am in Chicago, Zanies, all weekend. Then I am in Baltimore, baby. Then Edmonton, Portland, Vancouver, coming back in, and I don't remember what's next, but I'll tell you a bunch more that are on there. Belmore, New York. We just added Nashville, baby. Nashville in January. We added Minneapolis. We have Houston. Austin, San Jose is going to come up there. I mean, folks, I have moved to New York and I am never here. But that's okay. That is okay. Also, check out the clips page for now, youtube.com/@JoeyShow podcast. Leave us a subscribe. Leave us a review. I got a comment from one of the 12 on Spotify. I didn't even know you could do comments. I feel like Spotify is a vibe. I'm seeing some numbers over on Spotify. People are enjoying themselves over on Spotify. Shout out to Spotify. Joe Rogan, have me on. Have me on. I'm fun. Okay, what podcast would you most like to see me on? Don't tell me now. Comment it under every one of their videos. I'm just kidding, but maybe lightly. Okay, a key Western ally is buckling under Russian pressure. Like we mentioned, we have a foreign policy today, and that is taking us out to Georgia. Georgia, we on the grind in Georgia. Remember that one? The remix. So Georgia, I'm going to be honest with you here. Didn't know a ton about. It has not been high on my bingo card of places that I've explored geographically, foreign policy-wise, although it does fit with a lot of the things that I like in terms of just feeling interesting in a place that no one I know has been to, and kind of that drab post-communist or, I guess pseudo-communist, they're not, but like that kind of Russia, Soviet Union, North Korean, that architecture that you just go, oof, that's sad. Like curtains where you're like, that's been bombed. That's the sort of thing. I'm not making light of it. I'm just saying that when I look at that, I go, that's a travel experience. It's a travel experience right there. I feel like I'm going to get served like one, turnip in a bowl of broth. And they'll be like, this is the fucking best restaurant here. And I'll be like, thank you so much. I'll have 12 shots of vodka and I'll be on my way. So in Georgia, here's the deal. I'm not going to go through this entire Wall Street Journal article. I do encourage you to read it if you like it, but that's not why we're here on the Joey Show. We're here to talk about things in shorthand. I didn't know a lot about Georgia. When you look at it on the map, you have Russia, big. Russia, girthed up. Russia, big old dong, likes to use it. Georgia, Ukraine is kind of small and right there. Georgia is like a toenail on Russia. And so in 2008, there were some horrible wars there. And now they're in basically this interesting position where you have Russia being aggressive with Ukraine. And a lot of people in Georgia like to showcase their pro-Western allegiances. They see themselves as they would like to be a member of NATO. I don't think Russia would like that. I don't think that it might even be in our best interest. But you have, much like happened in Ukraine, you have two opposing visions, two opposing regimes. One is very kind of pro-Russian, and the other is pro-Western. Now, the pro-Russian side, let's start here. I'm going to do this article a little out of order. The pro-Russian side was evidenced by this man, Nicolás Samarhazde. I nailed that. He said, I can tell you very frankly and openly, we are afraid of Russia. Imagine a scenario where the Russians just turn on the engine of an armored vehicle, not even a tank, and put it on that highway. What do you do as a state? If you shoot, then it's war with Russia. And if you don't shoot, then you're not a state. We have learned our lessons, and we know that if there is another war between Russia and Georgia, we will again be all alone. Because we don't fully support them, because we know if we do, we're going full regional warfare, and Putin be licking them chops. So it was interesting to me just to see kind of the push and pull between generations here. You have here a couple... You have here a mother and a daughter. I'm going to put their picture up on screen here. Both look lovely. I'm sure they love each other, but they have a different agreement on this. The mother says, the protesters in Tbilisi, they are shouting and screaming because they haven't seen what war is really like, Fatima said in Tikyavi. I'm killing this. This part I'm at least killing. Fatima said in Tikyavi, recalling how, should I just do it in a normal Georgia accent? Yeah, protesters in Tbilisi, they're shouting and screaming because they haven't seen what war is really like, Fatima said in Tikyev, recalling how the village was cut off without any food, electricity, or phone connections in 2008. Halak America, halak Europe, but there is no chance Russia will let us go that way. So that's kind of a realist perspective. But Georgia has all these demonstrations in the street, much like Ukraine did. And so you have this push and pull because the government is drifting away from kind of a realist perspective. Look, I'm a home team guy. Go Niners, go USA. I'd love it if they came to us, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like that's in their best interest. Like I said, I barely knew it was a country until I read this article. But that's why you've come here, because I'm an expert now because of the article. Here's what caught my eye. Her daughter. And this is, I'm just going to read it. Diana shook her head in disagreement as she cradled her dog, Vivian. Now 25, she has recently graduated from university in Tbilisi and wants to be a graphic designer. Okay, so again, I want to side with the daughter here because go USA. I hope that we can be a voice of freedom for people, but her mom is like, we lived through a fucking war and Russia's going to kill us. And she's like, right, but I did just graduate. I've got my dog and I want to be a graphic designer and the vibes are off. And she's right. And I think what's interesting about this is the internet, and I've noticed this through stand-up comedy. People would always be like, what are the crowds in New York? They'll fucking get your ass out there. Like, can you even perform in the South or all these other places? You're from the Bay Area and all this. And I'm like, people, yes, it does change. It is regional. You have to tailor your set. You got to know where you're at. I believe that. But people are a lot more similar than they are different these days, kind of by generation and culturally. So she is like straight up Gen Z. Like, I've got my dog. Russia's not the vibe. And her mom's like, the tanks rolled through our town and killed your father. I don't know if that's true. I hope it's not. Though she hadn't personally participated in protests because of health issues, Diana said she supported her classmates who flooded the capital streets as the Georgian dream pushed through legislation limiting civil society. The unprecedented outpouring of Georgian youth, many of them waving European Union flags, initially forced the government to pull the law just to ram it through on a second attempt in June, overruling a veto by the country's largely ceremonial president. So she can't even make it to the protest. Again, I'm sure there are real health issues. I'm not saying that I support the other side here. You go through the article and it's unfortunately frequent Eastern European fare, including the turnip soup, and also extending to really harsh limits on LGBTQ stuff. Just a lot of the things that you would support with any Western movement, or especially a Gen Z movement, supporting, not looking great in Georgia. And I feel for these people, but boy, is that generational divide thick. I wish the best for them. I hope we can get there. I mean, I'm looking at a protest here. It looks fun. And I think that's one of the things that people underestimate, is that protests are kind of fun. As a guy who likes music festivals, I like a good protest. This is an important one. I mean, if you're a gay in Georgia, either Georgia, outside of Atlanta, it could be tough, you know, and I think that people deserve to fight for their rights, but there's a level of generational realism that certainly hits different when your mom and everyone her age is like, there's literally nothing we can do. And so I feel bad for the people of Georgia. I do want to say this. Our first live podcast is going to be in Tbilisi, Georgia, and it's going to feature a 100% lineup of, it's just going to be a drag show, and we are going to do it in Tbilisi, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope it goes well. These are not fun issues, but we have to discuss them. Fuck, God, that would suck to live, like, on Vladimir Putin's porch. It's just not great, guys. It's just not great. I don't know what you're supposed to do, because like I said, my emotional sentiments are with the youth, but as a realist, I'm like, war is not good. War not good. And I've always said that on this show. War not good. Also, don't be mean to gay people. Maybe is there a middle ground? Why can't we get along? Do we ever think about that? Is everything fear? Is that just what everything is? It's just a constant competition and fear. Like why does Putin need Ukraine? What is he worried about? Who the fuck? What are we going to take Russia? Who wants it? It sucks, most of it. It's look how big it is. There's like one place I'd go to. Have it. We're not going to take that. Stop. And maybe we should be nice and they should be nice. Why can't everyone just be nicer? Be nice to your neighbors and even and especially if they're gay. Why can't everyone just fucking calm down? One thing does not have to mean the end of another. We've always been like this. It's such a drag. It's like Genghis Khan. He was fucking everyone and like hanging out and like doing all this fun stuff and he got to travel and it's like you had to kill everybody to do that? Just fucking enjoy it, dude. It's like semester at sea. What's wrong with you, Genghis? Fucking travel. Stop killing. Is that such a crazy take? Fuck and travel. Stop killing. Be nice. Everyone needs to be nicer. All right. Week 1 NFL update here. I mean, guys, okay. I don't know. I feel bad because I talked about Dave Canales last week. I feel bad because he's hot. He's a hot coach, and he was just burying his dick in all matters of strange gals and who knows what. And then he found Jesus, and he was like, no more fucking and traveling, just traveling. And he settled into being a football coach and a good husband. He wrote the book. We talked about all this last week, and I said something that was not nice. I said, well, it's too bad that he's a former alcoholic and a sex addict, because if he's coaching the Carolina Panthers with Bryce Young, he's probably going to fall off the wagon, and we hope that doesn't happen. We hope and pray. We send a prayer, whatever your religion. I hope he escapes from sin. I hope he is faithful. I hope he is sober. I hope he is dedicated to the craft of trying to bring that team out of the mud down there in Carolina. But I also want to introduce the Dave Canales is about to get his dick wet meter. And I got to be honest, after week 1, it's a little high. It is a little high, and we don't want it to happen. This is one of those graphs where it's like likelihood is the opposite of what we want. It's an X graph. Likelihood, and that's even the more less we want it. But the meter went up. So if it's at 100, scale of 1 to 100, it's happening. It jumped to 32. And I hope it stays there. I don't want anything to happen, but it's up there. So we do have to do that. Tyreek Hill got to a bit of a tussle. They were not down there in Miami following the rules of being nice. Tyreek is fucking and traveling. That guy's got a lot of baby mamas. He got arrested going to the game. I'm sure all of you have heard this story. I bet most of you have watched the body cam footage. I watched it. And interestingly enough, I watched it in 2 formats. Here's what we can say definitively. Those cops escalated that situation way too fast. They were obviously triggered. They were obviously mad, and I'm just going to throw it out there. They weren't white. Hey, just put that in there. Because, it's not when they was like, oh, Cuban. Those Cuban cops are out of control. You got to... They did a bad job. They did a very bad job. The interesting thing, though, is it's just the way you cut body cam footage does seem to matter, because I didn't see how the interaction started, and it's not an excuse. Not an excuse for how he was treated. He was treated poorly. But he did start off the interaction with the cop started off, and I know he rolled his window back up, but he started off with the window up. The cop knocks on his window to basically give him the ticket, tell him slow down, and Tyreek starts by saying, hey, don't knock on my window like that, bruh. And again, does not justify what happened to him, but I was like, hell of a launch, Tyreek. And but we wish Tyreek the best. He has, it's a good thing that situation didn't escalate any further. He made a great point. If he wasn't who he was, it could have been a very bad situation. It could have led to one thing, another thing. It could have sent him to jail, and he does not deserve to be in jail. The only upside of that would be that his seed would not make extra children. Okay, that's we should probably cut that, but that's okay. We're having fun. Stories from the NFL. I mean, you just got to see everything. I think that's the main thing. If we're talking body cam footage, see everything. But there were like pieces of shit. Like, anyway. Okay. Takeaways from week 1 of the NFL season. 49ers looked great. Howdy doody. I'll be there in Minnesota on Sunday. Niners at Vikings. I might even get my ass on the goddamn field. I will be tailgating before that game. That's going to be very fun. 4 fantasy leagues is too many. That's what I'm in. I am in 4 fantasy leagues. Boy, that's a lot. A friend of mine asked me about it. He said, how is it managing 4 fantasy leagues? I said, it's basically like having 4 kids. There is no way you can possibly spend enough time on all of them, so you just kind of do your best and keep the ball in the air, and then you figure out which ones are doing best, put your energy there. It's just like parenting. So if you find yourself in too many leagues, just do it like that. Be a front-running parent. Do the best through the early years, and then once you start figuring out, week 8, week 9, year 8, year 9, who's got the sauce, who doesn't, put your efforts in the one that are gonna hunt. I'm just kidding. Be a good parent, obviously, but we're having fun, and that's what we do here. I do also want to give a Thursday night football pick. Not because Thursday night is the best game to watch, but because we release on Thursdays, we're going to plant our flag. We have Bills at Dolphins. Something tells me Tyreek's going to be driving the speed limit there this game. But I bet he'll be running free still, especially with, I think the Bills had a cornerback injured. Here's the deal, though. Bills are plus 2.5. I've got to take that all day. I think they're a better team. They don't do as well. They kind of flop. Like Miami at Bills late in the season, Miami's cooked. Bills at Miami, Hard Rock Stadium, good vibes in Miami. Early on, you kind of figure the Dolphins will do it, but the Dolphins looked like shit against the Jags for a long time. I'm just going to go Bills because I think they're a better team. I am going to take the points. I need those 2.5. If you're smart, probably just live bet it, see how the game's going. I've been having a lot more luck with that, but that's okay. That is okay. And rounding off here, went to a fun wedding, an incredible wedding. My sister-in-law's wedding this weekend down there in Brevard, North Carolina. A little lesbian wedding down in Brevard, North Carolina. It was an absolutely beautiful affair, but that's not why you've come to this show. You don't give a fuck about that. You've come here for my analysis of weddings in general and one story that you might not expect. Weddings in general, I find to be, I guess this is all social situations, but weddings at first, I loved that this one, it was a Thursday night welcome event, a Friday night larger welcome event, Saturday night wedding, Sunday day after party. Now, a lot of you just got social anxiety listening to that and certainly are hurting for my liver, and you're fair to do it. But I like the long-form wedding because I take a while to heat up. I'm like a playoff team. I'm going to close strong, but when I start out, it's a little shaky. I got to figure out, I'm exiting work mode, career mode, thinking about that shit all the time, and I'm easing into guy who's just present, guy who's getting loose, guy who's faded, guy who's down to talk to, that guy, that's my brother's cousin's friend's brother's friend's cousin. It takes me a while to get there, and I think that's fair. I think everybody does. I find the first event stressful. If I just went to a wedding, I'd never settle in. I need time to cook. So 4 days I think is great. I think that social anxiety. I remember this Coachella too. Day 1, you're like, what the fuck is going on with all this? Day 2, you're like, okay. Day 3, you're like, I'm one with the fucking, I am music. I think. I am music. I am love. And I'm definitely a little bit of drugs. And I liked that. Same thing with a wedding. Final day, you're like, I got to drink to feel alive a little bit. So then when you do drink, you're right there. You're dialed in. Had a lovely time out there. Pulled a wild move on the Friday night. We're there at the venue, and we go out to run a little errand there, and notice, and let's be honest, it had been on our radar since Thursday. Got old high school ball yard out here. Pretty sure the Brevard Blue Devils play out there. And if there's one thing I know about Friday and those lights, them some Friday night lights, and I wanted to taste. The first week of football being back, and we have a chance to be steeped in it. And we're not doing anything crazy. We were there. I mean, we've been at this event, putting in a great, fun party shift, easy 3.5, 4 hours. I mean, we'd been there all day. We'd already done a river float. We'd done a great many things. We've been putting in good time, talking to everybody, making the rounds. And at one point, we said, well, hot damn, that ball yard's about 2 miles, 2 minutes away. We can get right there, pop in, watch 25 minutes of ball, come back. And we did that. And it was fun. We piled into a van, drove over there, popped into a school. We had no idea that no one there knew us, but we just got a little touch, a little taste. And then we returned to the party, and then East Coast Friday night. Oh shit, there's also a little bit of a Brazil game going on. Got to check in on that. Had a nice time. Ceremony was beautiful. I would tell you more about it if you cared, but you don't. It was perfect. It was a great time. And I was going to end the show there, but I'm finding myself drawn to one final tale. One odd little piece of the internet that, if you're watching on YouTube, you may well know. I mean, this is certainly a person that's a lot more well-known than I am. But I think it's most likely that most of the audience here is going to be like, what the fuck is that? So there is a YouTuber named Nikocado Avocado or some such nonsense. And this person is a mukbanger. Did you hear that? It was the sound of a boomer committing suicide as I finished that sentence. So Nikocado Avocado is a mukbanger. And if you don't know what a mukbanger is, it's someone who eats too much food online. And that works and is entertaining to people because art and culture is dead and we've all been left to rot. And this person was very popular and also very, fat. If we're going to speak honestly about the job, that's part of the job, is to be a big old fat fuck. And there's nothing wrong with being a big old fat fuck. But then Nikocado Avocado was would apparently make some videos about how he was no longer happy and was kind of melting down. And then right after a video stating that, another video drops, a new video in which Nikocado Avocado has lost 250 pounds a week after Fat Man complaining. And what we end up finding out is that this genius sociopath had filmed content for several years worth of content so that they could go into hiding, shave their head, have their secret kept by other YouTubers, lose 250 pounds, and then drop an ominous, chilling video saying, I am always 2 steps ahead, which is a callback to another video that they'd already supplanted that statement in. So, like, evil genius levels of playing with the social media sphere, and then also, noting how this was a commentary on social media, and then claiming to be, I would imagine, happier now, and then still doing a mukbang. So just a fascinating tale from the absolute depths of hell that social media has created, but again, one where I fear, as a Joey Show promise, we must be fair, is impressive and well done. is impressive and well done. But if you're staring directly into a camera saying, I'm a villain, I'm always 2 steps ahead, I play you like a fiddle, and then eating a giant, disgusting plate of noodles, then I have to think we're near the end of society. But why? But why, you might ask? Why is that content any different than me watching football or me even watching a debate that I was talking about ends up just being kind of a form of theater engaged in by narcissists pretending to care about you? And I guess I could humor that very cynical argument, except that it's gross to eat too much food, and I don't know why people watch it. And I do think, even though you're a millionaire for doing it, if you find it interesting to watch someone engorge themselves on a giant plate of food, and that is what makes people millionaires now, then I'm allowed to say yuck. Aren't I? I know everything's content. I know if your husband gets shot in the head, it's time to write a book. I know that if I had a six-pack, I should be on OnlyFans cranking my hog and getting paid for it. But maybe, just maybe, there is a version of living that is better than that. Maybe, just maybe, there is still a version of art that is better to consume, that is better to make, that is better to take part in. And maybe somewhere in your soul, you know that too. But until then, we have to eat our content like the little mukbang piggies that we are. That being said, I thank you for enjoying this large, delicious, fattening piece of content. This has been the Joey Show for the week. Shout out to Mr. Hunter Biden. Thank you for joining us. Glad you are a part of the program. Shout out to every single member of the 12. I don't even care if we're growing because we some fucking dogs. We some dogs out there. We are some dogs out there, and we better hope that immigrants don't eat us. All right. Thank you guys very much. Thanks for listening to the show. Like, subscribe, rate, review, whatever the fuck it is that you do. Pretty good rhyme there. All right. Thank you guys very much. I'm Joey Avery. I'll see you next week, and I hope to see you out there on the road. Good night.
Thank God I have a podcast.